Grammy. You know what I'm saying? Millions of people watching.
You gotta document the journey.
This is part 2 of Who is Anderson Paak.
Yes, Lord!
While in LA, Anderson started singing under the name Breezy Lovejoy. He had previously went as Breezy, but decided to add the Lovejoy part because he thought women would like it. In February 2010, Breezy Lovejoy released his first EP, Violets Are Blue, one of many projects he'd released through Hellfire Records.
You ever been to Six Flags, girl?
No.
Next week we on Colossus.
He formed a hip-hop and soul collective, Block Cheddar, with other students, and released another mixtape the following month called The Cold Tapes, where they soulfully remixed Coldplay songs. However, he ended up quitting the group because he didn't like the material they were making and felt like he had put his career in their hands. At some point, Anderson could no longer afford the Musicians Institute.
Nobody would give me a loan, and I couldn't get no financial aid, so I had to drop like within weeks. But then they were like, "You good? You know how to play, so we're gonna hire you as a TA."
As a TA, he met his now wife, Jalen Chang, a vocal student who can also play the keys. In November 2010, he found out Jalen was pregnant and knew it was all on him to support them. So they got married, and he, along with his Free Nationals bandmate Jose Rios, whose girlfriend was also pregnant, took a job on an illegal weed farm. In retrospect, Anderson has said that this job was dangerous because he could have gotten killed or kidnapped while in the line of duty, but because it was so lucrative, he ignored what could have went wrong. At the time his son was born, he and Jalen were living with his older sister Camille. His sister saw that the money he was making had taken him away from what she saw as his God-given purpose, music. She requested him to pay rent and he didn't for 6 months. So one day she told him, "You said you were gonna move," and he left the next day. The timing was off because he had just gotten fired from the weed job, so him, his wife, and child were all displaced. He told LA Weekly, "I'd blown through 50 grand, no car, nothing to show for it, but ugly shoes, purses for my wife, and the makings of a dope album." Anderson and his family moved back to LA where they couch surfed at people's homes like dumbfounded while he performed gigs.
There was never a time where I felt like I couldn't go somewhere, you know, and I got siblings. I got 2 older sisters, and honestly, I lived with them, you know, with my sister, and when one sister kicked me out, I moved with the other one, and then when she kicked me out, I run out of money, I moved with the homie.
And that's a testament to his family and the support he found from the LA music community. He received support from Norman Mayers, rest in peace, a show booker for the Little Temple, who used Anderson's band as a house band for the venue. This gig required them to learn as many as 30 songs for one night. Performing at venues like this is how the Free Nationals became so good at playing together.
My magic potion for love, telling her I'm sincere and that there's nothing too strong for us, but I've got to be free. Check it out, here we go. Look. Dreaming, getting freedom. Yeah. Too many people bleeding. Yeah. Too many people breathing. Yeah. With nothing to believe in. Yeah. Walk around cheating. Life feel beaten. A lot of them are sleeping. When I'm living my
Jametta Rose, who introduced him to the Little Temple, also linked him with Shafiq Hussein of Sa-Ra. Shafiq offered his home to Anderson in exchange for him serving as his assistant, videographer, and video editor. He helped him write and produce, he cooked and chauffeured. Anderson learned creatively from Shafiq, but also a lot of historical information. Anderson helped Shafiq put his band together, and after rehearsal, Shafiq would teach them about the Moors, which inspired him to name his band the Free Nationals because the values they embodied aligned with his musical principles. Anderson lived with Shafiq until he was forced to leave when Shafiq's home foreclosed. Anderson's wife and kid then went on to live with a friend while he figured his stuff out.
I wanna go back home, yeah, with you.
2012, Anderson did a number of collaborations with Dumbfounded, who he also toured with.
When I met you up at Cafe Blue, you had a cloud of smoke around you.
He put out OBE, Volume 1, and Lovejoy. Anderson got his family an apartment when he got the opportunity to tour for American Idol semi-finalist Haley Reinhart as her drummer. 2012 was pivotal because that's also when Dumbfounded's former manager Brian Lee encouraged Anderson to treat his artistry like a job.
And I went to this whole process where I was going to simplify my life and build a routine and develop a healthy work ethic. And I was going to wake up early and just make a bunch of music every day like a job.
Brian instilled work ethic in him and gave Anderson the financial resources he needed to lock in on his own music for 6 months. And he came out of that time as Anderson Paak, which is his legal name rearranged. The dot before the last name stands for detail. He changed his name after much thought about how he wanted to be introduced if he met his idol Dr. Dre. The fruits of that experience was not only a name change, but material for both yet-to-be-released albums, Venice and Malibu. In 2013, Adrian Miller started managing Anderson. Miller was so invested in Andy's success that he sold his home to finance Anderson's career. That year, Anderson released Cover Art, which was his first project under his new name. Cover art was a response to learning about how many white artists unfairly profited off of black artists' work. Anderson decided to do the reverse by covering songs from white artists like Neil Young and Toto. Despite working on Venice and Malibu concurrently, Anderson made the intentional decision to release Venice first, because he wanted to get people's attention before showing them the more mature and soulful sound they'd find on Malibu. Despite popular belief, Venice is not about the neighborhood in California, it's about Venice Street where he made the album. Anderson wanted to explore range and dynamics and do a bunch of different styles reflective of the street. In his own words, it's fun, excess, modern house, and trap. Anderson garnered some LA buzz through the song Drugs. He would gain even more notoriety off of being featured on Taki Monsta's Rilla, touring with Jhené Aiko and Watsky. He produced the latter's album All You Can Do. The work he put in that year didn't go unnoticed. Rolling Stone named him a new artist to know. In February 2015, Anderson released Suede as No Worries in collaboration with the producer Knowledge.
Suede on the inside, candy paint. I ain't gotta tell you what the rims look like.
This song got him the chance to work on Dr. Dre's Compton. Anderson met the creatives who invited them there, and they tell him that they want to play the song for Dre.
You ain't heard it yet? Damn. I didn't want to get kicked out, you know, like, he don't like a lot of stuff, so, you know, I was like kind of nervous, but he played it, then he played it again, then he played it again.
Oh, wow.
And, you know, he's like, I was gangster. He was working all the time after that.
He hoped to just get one song, but to his surprise, he was on 6. It's funny because Anderson's manager, Adrian, had attempted to connect him with Dre previously through Dre's lawyer, but the lawyer laughed at Adrian, telling him that Dre wasn't signing any new artists. From working with Dre, he said he got a better idea of what type of production he sounded really good on. Eager to strike while the iron was hot, Anderson released the Anderson Paak EP with the Blended Babies in September, and later link up in Suede with No Worries in December 2015 as a precursor to his indie album Malibu, which was released the following month in 2016. This is part 2 of Who is Anderson Paak. If you haven't already seen part 1, you should go check that out. Part 3 will be out next week. Please like, comment, and subscribe. Thanks for watching.